How's it going out there, everybody? Let's see if Yogi is joining on here. Let a few more people join on, and we'll fire this thing up tonight. Who's all out there with me tonight? Jump in there and say hi so I know who I'm dealing with here. Got some guys jumping on here. We'll just give her a few seconds here. Actually, got quite a bit of stuff to talk about tonight. I got a lot of guys they can't be on there tonight. So want me to ask some questions or talk about some questions they had for me, and we'll definitely get to them for them guys. You guys hear me all right out there? Well, maybe you guys are asking anything or not. It's not showing up on my chats here. See who's all out there. Hey, there we go. We got a bunch of you guys jumping on here. It is not coming across my screen here, guys. I'm sorry. I just happened to pull it up on my phone, and here it all is. I apologize. I knew something was up. I don't know what's going on with our chat here on our screen. So I'll just go off my phone here, and I'll just work with you guys. I'll just have to have them guys look at it and see what's going on. Jason Buell, old Kevin McFarland, Gregory, you're on here. Scuba Steve, good to see you guys. Mark Coleman's in California, and he's even on here. I bet you his wife's happy with that one. Holy cow, he texted me and said he couldn't be here tonight because of it. In California, on vacation, and you got on Facebook to listen to me talk about food plots. Man, I thought I was the biggest redneck there was out there, but Mark, I think you got me beat by just a little bit there, buddy. Jeff Johnson, here, Bubba. I still owe you a phone call. One of these days, maybe I'll get back to that, bud. So, oh, I know, Jeff, my lighting in this room here. I'm actually, my new house here where I'm building the deal down in the basement that is going to be a lot better for these type of deals. Get lighting right, the whole 9 yards in these rooms. This is my office here, actually. I just can't get the lighting right in here. So, just getting that all going. I've been doing everything outside, getting all the work done, and so it's about time to get that studio built. So, well, I'll tell you what, guys, let's get on here. Hey, there's old Nick. He's on here. Old Steve, he's on here from Team ORBO. Old Mark's on here talking about being a tough one for food plots this year. Drought and extreme heat, buddy, man. It's been horrible. I know here in Central Illinois, I just can't. That's one reason I really thought about coming on here tonight. You know, we haven't done one of these for a while. I've been getting so many questions coming in about the heat. No rain, no. I mean, it's just, I thought, you know, let's jump on here, talk about a few products that can help you out. I don't need to waste all your time tonight, but there's a couple of things you can actually look at when it comes to this stuff that a lot of people kind of overlook. And instead of me looking at all you guys' comments, I'm just going to start talking here, and then I'll go back through them and answer some questions. Feel free to throw some questions on there, guys, and I'll get to them here shortly. But you know, a lot of people, you know, including myself, I start looking at fall food plots. I'm wanting to plant, and I've been known many a times to plant way too early, even when the weather conditions were good. And just because, you know, I think it's one of them deals that when I start planting, I know it's that next step closer to being the deer season, and that's why I can't wait for it. So, again, I've been known to plant a little too early, and you know, most people don't realize it with your brassicas, stuff like that. You don't want them plants maturing out before a frost. You'd rather have them in the growing state when that frost hits. They're going to be sweeter, more palatable. So when you start planting them a little too early, like when people call into me and ask, or they email in, say, hey, when can I plant honey hole? The first question I'm going to ask is, where are you from? You know, because it's a lot different where I'm at compared to what Jeff Johnson, where you're at in Wisconsin. It's different time periods there. You know, you guys are planting a little earlier than what we are. But when it comes to this drought here in Illinois, except for yesterday, we had storms roll in. That's the first rain my food plots have seen in almost 2 months. Well, I take that back. I had 3/10 in 2 months. And my clover is brown. It's laying on the ground. I know, I mean, most people get alarmed, but I know, even though I want it there right now for the deer to have and growing season, the whole 9 yards, I know when the rains start coming back in like they just did, we got rain in the forecast the next 4 or 5 days. I know that clover is going to green back up. It's going to be great for hunting season. It'd be good to go in. It happens every year. This year it's just been a little more harsh than it has been in the years past. So what I'm looking at when I'm wanting to plant a fall plot in a drought, you know, you got the heat just hammering down. I mean, some of these perennial plots that some guys have, that as long as they didn't mow them down too quick before the frost hit, before the heat hit, you know, them taller plants, you know, and with the high humidity we've been having around the Midwest, you know, it helps the plants. But man, if you mow one of them plants down right before a drought hits, I mean, you're just going to burn them up. And the big ones will burn up too, but that more humidity will definitely help them. But let's get to fall plots. We've always had one mix. that is very, very good for a situation like this. Now we have two. Uh, Everybody looks at our slam dunk, you know, even our fall, winter, spring, our grade 8 now. And, a lot of guys kind of look past our lights out blend. Lights out is actually one of my favorite blends, as long as it's planted properly. The main problem most people have with lights out, they will plant it the same time they will their honey hole, their slam dunk, their grade 8, stuff like that. Let's say here I like getting planted August 1st to the 15th when the weather is right. I'm not planting my lights out for another month after that. So I'm looking up to mid-September because you don't want them oats heading out. So you always want to plant your oat blends later. And when I say blend, yes, it does have turnips in with it. So you can get by planting that all the way up to the end part of September, most anywhere in the Midwest. Yes, you're not going to have the big turnips like everybody's talking about because you could get that frost. You're going to have all kinds of greens. You're going to have the greens off them turnips that the deer are going to love. Very palatable, very high in energy, and then you're going to have your oats. So if you're looking for something to plant and thinking, man, I can't plant right now. It's too dry. It's too dry. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I guess I won't have a food plot. No, just wait for Mother Nature to hopefully start steering right. And then you get into September. Number one, get you some lights out. Okay. Lights out is going to help you tremendously. Now we have a new mix called Southern Greens that we actually put together for the southern states. That's how it's got its name. But to our surprise, this blend actually has collard greens in too. So to our surprise, when we started testing it all over, up to Wisconsin, here in Illinois, Iowa, Ohio, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Florida, the deer just hammered it. They loved it all the same. The collard greens don't need that big frost to turn them sweet. They're always sweet and very palatable. So, you're looking at a mixture there of southern greens it's got collard greens, it's got radishes, it's got wheat, it's got oats. That is a blend right there that the deer can't get enough of. And that's another one there with the stuff that's in that blend. Again, yes, with the radishes, you might not get your big tubulars planting it later, but you're going to have all the other forage. So that's another mix that you can get in there to mid to late September and plant and still have a very good, successful food plot, long as you start getting some moisture at that time. So them two mixes, the lights out and the lights out and the southern greens are two very good ones for something like that. Now, you can look at our fall, winter, spring. Fall, winter, spring can be used just as well. You can get that planted with that cereal rye. You can get it planted later. You might not get the great big tall growth of your cereal rye, but a lot of you guys that are planting small food plots, the deer are going to keep eating it down. Fast as they eat it down, the faster it's going to grow, and it's going to come back the next year for a few months and offer you about 30% protein when them deer need it the most. So that's the good thing about that cereal rye. So that fall, winter, spring, lights out, and southern greens. So that's the three right there that I would be looking at. The ones I am looking at, I got them waiting. I'm going to see what Mother Nature does. We got some good rain. I'm just going to see if she can give me some more. What I try to tell people is, I would rather see you go out there. Let's say you want to plant some honey hole. And, you're wanting to plant it, and all of a sudden you're like, man, they're showing a 40% chance of rain tomorrow. They're showing we might get a tenth of an inch. I want to go plant my honey hole. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, when you do that, you're going to get a little bit of rain. And when you get that little bit of rain, then plants are going to start their germination process. And then if you don't get any more to follow it, then plants are just going to die. I'd rather see you plant it when it's dry and just let them seeds lay there dormant. And they just lay there dormant until you get the moisture. You got to worry about birds and stuff getting to them, stuff like that. But they will work very well for you. But no, just try not to try to plant as close to rain as you can, but make sure you're going to get a lot of rain. When I mean a lot of rain, I don't mean I don't want 2-3 inches that night. I want the rain to come in and have a good 3 to 4 days worth of rain, or rain in the forecast for the next few weeks. I want them chances. Yes, I've had chances here for 2 months, and I won't get them. They're showing 50%, 60, 70%. You don't get them. But it's something, excuse me, something that, Mother Nature can be cruel, but, try not to run out there and just plant something because you see a little sprinkle coming the next day or two, because that sprinkle could be just enough to germinate them seeds, and they'll just wilt over and die when they don't have no more moisture for a few weeks. But yeah, them are the three products. Now, one thing I would like to talk about is fertilizer. And I had a gentleman today just here this few minutes ago, actually. We were talking about using urea on a lot of these mixes. And yeah, a lot of these annual mixes, especially Honey Hole, Slam Dunk, the ones I just mentioned, they love nitrogen. They love it. But if you're not getting the amount of moisture, you have a very good chance of burning that plant using urea. So you got that very good chance even using triple 19, triple 13 if you're not getting moisture. What I like to see everybody do when you go to plant, work that fertilizer in that soil before you plant. Number one, it's going to break down quicker. Number two, nitrogen sitting on top of the ground. I mean, you'll actually lose some of that nitrogen. It evaporate. So you definitely want to work that in. You get a lot better stand of it. It's gonna break down quicker. You're gonna get more benefit for the money that you got into it, and the plants are gonna benefit. So try to get that worked into that soil, and it'll work a lot better for you. Now, the one that everybody thinks they can do, and you all have heard me say it a million times on here, a million. Stay away from watering your plant unless you can put enough on it. A lot of people say, well, I got a 300-gallon tank. I can go out there and water it. Well, you're trying to water a 2-acre plot. You're through, let's say a 2-acre plot, you're looking at what? 66,000 gallons? Yeah, 66,000 gallons of water per acre. So, I mean, to do any good. So the best thing to do is just Mother Nature is cruel, but she can be your best friend too. Let Mother Nature take care of these, let her take care of them. Now, if you got a small plot out there and you're able to water it the way it needs to be watered, go right ahead. I mean, more power to you. I wish I could. But you're trying to haul water. A lot of us guys, we don't have the means to haul the water that we need. I mean, you're looking at 6 semi-trailers there for an acre. So, yeah, we just got to really watch that. Let's see what we got on here real quick before I just start jambling even more. John, good to see you on here, buddy. Being it's early August, any recommendations for attractants with feed? I mean, with me, if you're looking for a feed type attractant, I'm my rack maker. The rack maker has a percentages just right there of the protein and energy and fiber that you're not going to have to worry about burning any fat off them deer with too high a protein. Now, if you want something more into an attractant / feed, our attractant fuel is awesome. That's one of our old ones that still going strong. I mean, a lot of guys use it. The deer love it. That's something that you can either feed solely or you can mix it with corn. I know a lot of guys, including myself, I really push everybody to mix it with corn. You can take 2 20-pound bags of attractant fuel, throw it in with about 200 to 300 pounds of corn. It'll do very well for you. So, man, I don't know what's going on with this restream tonight, but it's just all messed up. Let's see what you guys are talking about on here. Sorry for the unprofessional way on how to do this, but we're just talking food plots. So, on a serious note, I still can't believe Mark's in California on vacation with his wife and he's on here watching me. I just can't get over it. Nicholas Worth, nice to see you, bud. Everybody's talking about the drought and extreme heat. It really is. Scuba Steve, you're exactly right, bud. Dedication. That's a very good word to use. Now I sound like a school teacher. I see a lot of guys out there that they take so much pride and they're dedicated in everything they do when it comes to these food plots. Not only just because of the money they spend, but it's because of the time they put in, the steps they take to do it. Yes, it costs money to do it, but when you take them proper steps, I mean, in the long run, it's very rewarding. So yeah, very, very dedicated. Jason's on here talking about fall, winter, spring is perfect in New York. I know Jason's that mix. Jeff Johnson, my greens went in last Saturday. Really excited to see how the deer like it. Jeff's up there in Wisconsin. Terrible heat and drought. Food plots are really struggling. Weeds are doing great here in northern Missouri. Excuse me. Just overseed a trophy clover plot with honey hole last week because the rain was in the forecast. That's from Mark, I think it's Hunston. Weeds are going crazy, but it's kind of funny. I think this is the first time that I've ever seen it on my property that I was so dry that the weeds and grasses actually died. I don't think I've ever seen that. I really don't. And that's when you got issues, is when the weeds and grasses cannot survive through it. So, but yeah, in a lot of other places the weeds are going crazy. I've got a lot of guys calling in about it. I try to tell everybody, when you're in a drought type situation, high heat, then plants are stressed. If they're not already browning up and laying over, they're going to be. Try to stay away from. Don't mow on them plots. Don't get on top of them because you destroy them, and don't spray on them because the more stress you put on them plants, the harder it's going to be for them. Even though these herbicides like the clethodim, the 2,4-DB, especially on the clover plots, alfalfa, soybeans, stuff like that, it's designed not to kill them plants, but kill the grasses and the weeds. You know, it still stresses them out. If you ever pay attention to a clover plot after you spray, let's say clethodim for grass control, or even let's say 2,4-D, 2,4-DB, you do it a little bit more. You're trying to kill a broadleaf out of that clover without killing the clover. You spray it. If you go back in a few days, you can kind of see some curl on them leaves. You might see some spots on them, and it'd be there for 3 to 4 or 5 days, and all of a sudden they're just beautiful again. That's because that chemical is actually stressing them plants. So if them plants are stressed already and you go in there and re-stress them some more, I've seen it done, and I've seen what it's done to it. I mean, they'll literally die off. So that's what I like hearing. All you guys on here talking about, here's Jason talking about 4 days of rain coming. Thank God. You got that right. Now, Adam Culp, he just got 3 inches yesterday and today. That's something I don't want right now. We got hammered last night with a little more rain than what I was hoping we would. And a lot of people think, well, you're crazy. But I'm not, because you get ground as hard as the ground is. When you get a hard rain like that in a short period of time, it doesn't take long at all for that water just to run right off. So you want them good soaking rains. Yeah, I want a good inch and a half, and I want it over about a day and a half period. I want more than that, but I'll take that. Old Timmy Lambert's on here watching. He just tried calling me. He probably trying to figure out what's going on while I won't answer my phone. Howard's on here. Howard Wagner, good to see you, bud. Tim Lambert's wanting to know if anybody where he can get some seed in a short notice. That must be what he's calling me about. He must be wanting some seed. He's ready to plant. He just got a bunch of rain. He must going to be mudding it in, or he's going to want me to come and help him mud it in. So I can fix you up, Timmy. Don't worry. Old Jeff Johnson jumped right on it. Jeff Johnson's a salesman for Antler King, and he jumped right on Timmy on that. He's going to sell him some. Oh, Nicholas did too. He's another salesman. Anthony Coacher, good to see you on here, bud. Hope you and the family and the little ones doing good. No, Floyd Young watching. All right, I think I got through some of them. Why they're not popping up on here, guys, is beyond me. I'm going to have to talk to the marketing group, see what's going on with it. All right, we talked about the seed blends. You know, the lights out. We looked into fall, winter, spring, southern greens. Them are my three favorite ones for late season planting. You know, just like I just ribbon Timmy Lambert right here that was just on there talking about wanting to know where he can get some seed. You know, he's in the same boat I am because we're here together, and he's been dry just like I have, and we've been talking. You know, we're worried about. And I'm like, Timmy, you know, we got varieties out there that we can plant late. You know, so we're good to go there. Now, if we don't get any moisture in September, yeah, it's just going to be a dirt field, but we're going to get it. We're starting to get it. It happens every year. Again, it's just been a little harsh. So them three blends are my favorites there when it comes to a late season planting where you can still get forage. Yes, you can do a late season planting of your clover, stuff like that, but you're not going to have much forage for the first year because it's such a late planting, but it will be there for the spring next year. So the annual mixes, the lights out, southern greens, and fall or spring. We're getting so many of them, I can't keep track of them. We spoke about the nitrogen. Nitrogen great for them. Make sure you got the moisture. Better off to bury them in this, turn them underneath that soil. Just like the lime, I like putting lime on and then working my soil. One question I've been getting asked a lot here lately, and a lot of people are seeing it, is people getting weeds in their plots. And the first thing I hear is, oh, there's actually been some thrown my way here lately. I didn't even hear of the plant before ever in my life. If we're putting ragweed in our seed, or if we're putting this in our seed, this and that. And of course, the answer is no. But what you're getting there, and most of you guys on here right now, you already know, you know, there's weed seed that's actually buried into the soil. And every time you turn that soil up, it gets closer and closer to the surface. That's why I try to tell people when you're working ground, you don't have to work this ground 6, 7, 8 inches deep. You don't have to run a moldboard plow on it. You know, you don't. Sometimes it's good to turn the soil under every so many years. Get out there and plow it, turn it under. I don't know if you guys still got me or not. This thing keeps asking me for my password. I don't know what's going on. Let me know if you got me on here right now, guys. Got him on here talking about not a lot of rain in the forecast. Has sandy soil in North Carolina, trying to plant some slam dunk in red zone. That slam dunk could do very well. Yes, you need the rain, but the slam dunk is one of my favorites for the shadier type soil, that type stuff. Shaded areas, sandier soil, and when I mean shaded, I still want to get 4 to 5 hours of sun on it, but it will grow better in a 4 to 5 partially shaded area than like our honey hole grade stuff like that will. But it does very well. Yeah, Nicholas, I don't know what's going on. Keep pausing. It's doing all kinds of stuff tonight. I don't know what's going on with this restream, but it's doing it. Keeps throwing stuff up my way here too. So, but nope. Yeah, I apologize, guys. I see you on here talking about it. It's freezing up some, whatever. Just let me know, yell at me, whatever. Um, but we'll cut this short here in a little bit anyway, just because of this, and I'll get with the marketing group and see what's going on with this restream, because we have never had this issue all spring long doing this, and it won't show me nothing up here. But to get back to John here asking about the attractants with the feed and stuff like that, if you don't mind a block form, bud, our Graniac block is one of the, I mean, to me, it's the best block on the market. It's the best block we have ever made. We carry it a 20 and a 33 pounder. So very, very good block, very good supplemental feed. And you're looking at 16% protein, 6% fat, got a good fiber rate to it. It's got our Amper digestivate in it. So it's doing very well. Floyd Young, you getting any plots put in, bud? It looks like he's on here trying to sell properties, what he's trying to do. So a lot of people look at, we talked about the fertilizers. Let's talk about the foliar fertilizers when it comes to a drought type situation. If them plants are in the dormant state, let's say clover plots are in dormant state, they're browning up, they're dying, stay off of them, don't spray them. Them plants need to be out of that dormant state so they can intake that chemical in, that fertilizer in. So a lot of people think they go, now if you're getting close to a drought and it looks like it's going to be a dry season coming, you can hammer them with it. But when you're in the middle of it, you're a month into it, everything's browning up, going away. Don't worry about trying to get in there and get them sprayed. You can put some plot max on if you want, or soil conditioner if you're going to walk it and do it. But again, stay out of them plots with your buggies and side by sides and tractors, stuff like that, because them brittle plants, you just bust them all up. So best thing to do is just wait. Again, I know you heard me say Mother Nature 100 times, but wait for Mother Nature and let her take care of it. And then they start greening up, then get in there and just start spraying the heck out of them. Our annual mixes, a lot of people ask me, and I catch a lot of people calling me and saying, yeah, I bought some clover fuel. I'm getting ready to spray my honey hole. Well, you're not going to get much good out of that clover fuel with that honey hole. So the Jolt fertilizer, I try to tell everybody that, look at it as the fertilizer you can spray on everything, but I highly recommend you using the clover fuel on our perennials, like our legume plants, which is our chicories, clovers. I'm sorry, our clovers, our alfalfas, our peas, soybeans, stuff like that. You look at the Jolt, it's nitrogen based. So again, you can spray that on them clovers and stuff like that, but you're also feeding the weeds and grasses. Where when you're doing the annual plot, the weeds and grasses are pretty much already, them type of plants are going to outgrow them. They're going to smother them weeds out and stuff. So don't worry about that, because they love the nitrogen, no matter if you're putting granular on or if you're putting our Jolt on. So use the Jolt when it comes to the annual mixes, like we've been talking about. It works so much better. They get the dose that they want. It really gives them a good kickstart and jump, and makes a big difference in forage and the palatability for the deer to eat it. So, Floyd Young talking about putting in some southern greens ahead of the rain. That's good. I knew you'd be out there pumping away somewhere. If you're not selling property, you're working in it. I know that, buddy. Just make sure I didn't miss anybody on here real quick. Another question I get asked a lot too. I've been asked a bunch actually the last 2 weeks and I don't know why it would have anything to do with it or why they think it have anything to do with it, but they want to know that being drought, a drought type situation, if it's necessary to test your pH, absolutely. You test the pH no matter if you're in a flood or in a drought, or in between. I mean, that's the number one step you always want to do, no matter what the weather is dealing you. So always test that pH, get that lime on, get building it up. So actually, I just had a guy today that ran 3 tests on his plot, and his first time in a long time that I heard somebody that was at 8.6. So he was over. So get some organic matter mixed in with that, plant some honey hole on it. She'll suck her up. She'll take her down. So don't have to get in there and do nothing real stupid to it and spend a whole bunch of money. A lot of these mixes that way. See what we got here. What can I broadcast to my clover plot for the fall in Alabama? I'll tell you what, Mr. Dixon, I would look into. If it was me, I'd say I'm going to go with honey hole. But one thing about it is, if you're wanting that clover plot to survive and be good for you next year, do it very lightly. Because if you put very much brassica in there, they're just going to tear that soil up. So if you're not worried about that clover plot, go in there. But if I'm looking at let's say a half-acre plot, I'm only going in with maybe an 1/8 acre or so of seed and overseeding into it to give them some fall forage too. I'm not going crazy on it. You don't want to overseed it and starve them plants out for nutrition. The good thing about that is, with like the honey hole, that clover is actually bringing in the nitrogen out from the air and storing it into the soil. You start planting that honey hole thrives on nitrogen. So then clover plots are actually going to feed that honey hole. So that'd be my go-to. Yeah, yes, Kevin. The Southern Greens is a regional seed. Sorry, guys, just making sure. There's a bunch of them popping on here, so I'm just making sure that everything's going good here with you guys. But yeah, always check that pH, get that going. Use a proper fertilizer, granular or liquid. Here again, I'm not a salesman anymore, and this is the reason why. So many people call me and ask me, say, hey, since I'm using your Jolt, does that mean I don't have to use granular fertilizer? You can get by, but not as good as you would if you use granular when you plant. So I like our Jolt and our annual plots. I always give it one good dose the day I plant. But I always put granular down because I know, especially in my annual plot areas, I know that soil's depleted, and I want to get a good start on it and building it back up as I can. So I'll always put the recommended rate. As you look on any of our bags of seed, I have the recommended rate of fertilizer per acre on the back per pound, by the pound. So that's why we put that on there. We highly recommend that you do all you can to get that seed bed and get all the nutritional value to that seed bed, and then substitute it in with our clover fuel, our Jolt. Our Plot Max is a soil conditioner. It breaks down the soil and allows them nutrients that are stored in the soil to get to the root system better. So, I mean, that's the difference in it. So, but yeah, always use granular. And a lot of people are, they see on there a big thing for fertilizer. You can't find triple 19 in a lot of places. I can't find triple 19. I can find triple 12. I'm using triple 12. Just because it says 300 pounds of triple 19 doesn't mean it has to be triple 19. That's what we recommend. That's how we test it. But you can always use a lower and bump it up a little bit more if you want. So to get the best results out of it. So just because you can't find exactly what's on the bag doesn't mean you can't substitute it with something else. And if you have an issue or wanting to find out about it, just give me a holler and we'll talk about it. Because you get into the legume plants where you're not wanting any nitrogen, it gets confusing there on all the different, well, usually all the different ones that you can pick from, which are hard to find now. So a lot of guys this year actually had to go and use some pretty good nitrogen-based fertilizer on their clovers because they couldn't find nothing with a low nitrogen level. Now, when that happens, I will go with the lowest nitrogen level I can find, and then I will pour the clover fuel to it. I'll still give it my granular, maybe not as much as I normally would, just because I don't want all that nitrogen in there and feeding them weeds and grasses. I will give it to them to get it up to where it needs to be, and then I will pour the clover fuel to them legume plants, and they will do very, very well. So, look on here one more time, guys. You guys got any questions for me? Give them to me. Anthony, your seed's actually on the way, bud. You should be getting it anytime. I'm glad I called you about that address because for some reason I had your old address wrote down my record, so I knew something right there. Actually, I apologize, Adam. I see you had another question here asking how much rain do I need for germination? But it really depends on how dry that soil is. When I'm wanting good germination, I want over a half inch of rain. I'm looking for 3/4 to an inch. I know I'm going to get good germination that way. But if you're getting some rain off and on for the next few days, it's going to do very well for you. The thing that kills it, like I said before, is just getting a little bit of rain, just enough to get them to start to break. And then it just dries up again. That's the thing that hurts. Or then plants get up about an inch tall, and then all of a sudden it dries up, they just die off. So when you're looking at your clovers, your alfalfa, stuff like that, the perennial blends, that doesn't hurt much because when they're coming up out of the ground, that means that root system's developed. So even if they die off because of a drought or any harsh climate that way, they will come back. Where the annuals, if they get an inch tall, no matter what that root system is, they're going to be done if they die off. Mark's asking, come about mid-September, can you put down granular? And how long would you have to wait to spray clover fuel or jolt on it? You can actually spray the clover fuel or jolt the same day, depending on what you're putting on. Yeah, you can go right into it. I actually spread fertilizer normally twice through the growing season. Once when I plant, I will work it into the soil. Then I usually come back mid growing season and I will go in and broadcast some more. So, and depending on what I'm planting too. And usually I'm doing that with like my honey hole, my big nitrogen based plots. That's what I'm doing it with. My clovers, I'm just hitting it with clover fuel all the time. But I usually will do 2 applications of fertilizer. But yes, you can go ahead and go in there and broadcast, and you can get in there anytime you want and put that foiler down. Adam, you're talking about planting clover with the 3 inches of rain you just got, and you got more coming Monday. But it just depends on what that plot looks like. 3 inches of rain, 90% of it could have ran off, depending on how long a period it was it took to get that 3 inches. Or you could just be a soggy mess. If it's a big soggy mess, I'd wait a little bit, bud. Because the last thing you want is to plant it and then get another hard rain in there that's going to wash that seed off, and you can lose germination just by washing the seed off. So I don't know. I take it you're wanting to go in and broadcast it right over. I guess you got a plot ready. I take it, and you're wanting to get in there. It'd be trial and error. It just depends on what that plot looks like. If it was me personally, I wouldn't. I would wait for it to start to dry up some, and then I would get back in there. Now, I know that's hard to do right now because you just never know what this rain is going to do. But even though we're talking about a drought type situation and drought time, a lot of people don't realize too much rain can kill a plot just as quick as a drought can. So, and then when it comes trying to germinate seed in it, a lot of times you just boil seed out of it and it just roll off. The water just take it off. So, I would just really look that plot over, see if you got any kind of firm base to it. If you do got a firm base to it, and it's not all rutted up with how water tried running through it, washing off of it and everything, you might be all right. Yeah, again, your co-op's out of fertilizer. My co-op here will not even sell me fertilizer. I usually buy it by the ton, especially my potash for my clover. I'll buy a couple ton a year, and they won't even sell it to me unless I'm a farmer, just because they're saying there's a shortage in it, like everything else, which is ridiculous. And the price went up about what, 3 times, maybe 4 times. So what I was given $400 a ton turned into what I checked last time. It was 1380. I think 1380 a ton just for potash. That's crazy. Puts a hurting on us poor men out here trying to plant food plots to shoot deer to feed our family out of, isn't it? With our $2,000 crossbows and $900 rifles and and loving every dang minute of it, aren't we? All right, I'm just making sure I'm not missing somebody. Oh, Kevin McFarland talking about lost one of his best clover plots to a flood earlier this year. That will do it, Kevin. It will. They will literally destroy it. Well, guys, if you got something else you want to talk about, yell at me real quick because I can see how this is wanting to break up and everything. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I apologize, but I promise you one thing: it will be fixed before the next one because I don't like this. Kevin, I know it had to be heartbreaking. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, Mark. We recommend 2 sprayings of clover fuel a year, but then plants will only benefit as much as you spray them. So you can spray. I'm usually spraying. Truthfully, I spray every time I mow. So this year, I haven't heard mow her at all. Actually, I've only mowed clover once this year. Usually, I'm mowing between 6 and 10 times a year on all my clover. I will always spray afterwards, and this year, not so much. But yeah, you can spray. Now, I wouldn't spray it, weekly. But if you want to get out there once a month or so and give a good dose to it, no problem at all. You're welcome, Adam. I appreciate you being on here talking about everything. Northeast Illinois. When to plant fall, winter, spring. Scott, buddy, you can start again, depending on, I don't know if you've been on here the whole time listening, depending on the moisture and the heat. I mean, that's a mix that you can start planting where you're at the 1st of August to the 15th is what I usually shoot for in the drought type situations. And the heat, I'm even getting out there till mid-September before I plant it. So it'll do very well for you. But yeah, if you got enough moisture in the ground and getting some moisture, you can get that planted right now. Yeah, and you're right, Jeff. It seems to be late. You're saying a couple weeks here we'll start getting the moisture in most places, and you're right. We normally do that in part of August, first part of September. We'll be back on here in September complaining about too much rain. So that's what's going to happen. So we'll have a follow up in September just to see. But then it'll rain all through the hunting season, and we'll complain about that one too. So, but I'm ready to. I'll complain about rain anytime right now because I want it. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys being on here tonight. I hate that we're having issues with this restream video. I apologize 100%. You guys know how to get a hold of me. Get a hold of me if you need something, you want to talk about something, just yell at me. And I will definitely get with the marketing group, get this thing figured out, see what's going on. And we'll do this again in a couple weeks and have it all figured out. And we'll see what kind of rainfall we got from them. So, and we might even run a contest. So maybe see who gets the most rainfall. We'll see what goes on. But I'll let you know and we'll do something. Maybe throw a hat somebody's way or something. So hold on, we got Derek Jones on here talking. Derek, good to see you, bud. I planted honey hole this year. What should I plant next year? But you can run that honey hole for a couple of years. But with me, if you're looking to good rotation, I'm rotating it with something like our trophy clover or our Booner Buffet or perennial blends. You want something that's going to put that nitrogen back in that soil and build that soil up, some organic matter, the whole 9 yards, where that honey hole is going to take away from it. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night. Good talking to you. Like I said, if you need something, give me a holler, man. Take care. Have a good night.